Hey everybody, it's free-to-play Bust. Doing a little different expedition today. There's some interest in just drafting whatever the old LoR Guardian says is the best pack, and we're just going to go ahead and do it. It's something I typically prefer to wait until like right before the new set comes out, um, since everything's just kind of dealt with. There's not like a whole new lot of new knowledge to pick up, and the all the hypes around the new cards, and so nobody really cares what the best thing to do for the last 4 days of a current patch are. And so I tend to prefer to wait for it until something like then, but we're gonna just go ahead and do it anyways. And so let's take a look. You gotta make sure it actually loads first. There we go. Oh boy, Demacian Steel Garen. I bet we're just going to be jumping all in on these bannermen. Uh, but nonetheless, this would be a reasonable pack. This is the one that we would be taking anyways. We do not like Enlightenment Karma. This is just pure garbage. It shows up every time, so I know I've been talking about this a lot. Hang on, my cat's trying to jump on me. Uh, it's a little distracting. And so I wouldn't recommend taking this anyways. There we go. And so then the first of the draw, Twisted Fate, is pretty reasonable. Whether or not you end up in kind of like the one drops deck or the plunder deck or in Sea Monsters, this all kind of lives here. This is what I've been kind of trying to talk about recently is taking packs that have options to go into multiple decks, and this Twisted Fate certainly does that. But it looks like we got the old 92 here on the Demacian Steel Garen. The way I tend to try to draft these is we'll just take one Garen, then hopefully find a Demacia champion second, and then just kind of stick to that Demacian champion, because I think Garen is pretty bad on his own. And so I can pull this up and talk about it a little bit. The things I typically look for in this card pool, it's mainly just Vanguard Bannerman, but let's look at it on the website. Okay, and these card lists are all up at ftpbus.com. I still did want to kind of go over these. I know we don't really have control over what we're doing in this draft, but kind of the things that we're going to run into here. I think we're going to run into two problems with what is typically. I mean, I don't know how the LOR Guardian system works, but I assume it just kind of like does some math in regards to what cards are in kind of the highest win rate deck. And what I'm afraid is going to happen with this run is everything's going to be really expensive. This is a deck to where you really have to be mindful of your curve. You need to be picking up Cythrias and Successions, and what I think is the most important one in Vanguard Defender, because it's so easy just to get all these expensive cards, right? We've already got Bannerman. We're going to have reinforcements. These 5-drops are plentiful in the, what's he called? I always call him Heavy Infantry. Then we'll run into Swiftwing Lancers, and then Radiant Guardians. Things like Cythria and Tiana are expensive. It's really easy to let your curve get out of control with this deck, and so I'm afraid that's what's going to happen this run. The second thing that'll end up happening this run is we'll pick up like 2 or 3 Vanguard Bannermen, and then we're just going to be like 50-50 in the card pool. And so if you're actually drafting this Garen, kind of the thing that I recommend you do is we're going to try to take a Demacia champion second. You're not guaranteed to see one, but we would really prefer to pick up a Lucian or a, what's her name, a Fiora. And then we can kind of do the thing to where, we really don't want to draft any expensive units. We do want to pick up like 2 reinforcements. We do want to pick up as many Vanguard Bannermen as we can find, wherever he's rare. But then we just kind of let the expensive cards come as they fall. Because if we start seeing like Radiant Guardian and being like, damn, Radiant Guardian's a good card, then our deck's just going to be too expensive. And then Garen does kind of let us fix that if we draft too many, or if we don't, run into enough expensive cards, because we've been able to sit around and draft these defenders and redeemers and battlesmiths and such, then we can just fill in that champion slot with Garen. That's kind of one of the values of these top end champions here. But we're taking them as they fall here. We've got a big old number 92 here on this Garen, and then let's see how this falls out. Oh man, it wants us to take Ash. I think this pool is trash. We just ran with Ash. I mean, it's fine as a support pool. This can support Garen pretty reasonably. I just don't really want to be stacking a lot of Frozen Solid here. But nonetheless, kind of given the choice here, I would probably just take this Fishbones Jinx. I do like this pool a lot, and it kind of gives us a place to pivot away from Demacia. Like, Demacia isn't an ideal pairing with this Fishbone strategy. This is all about playing 1-drops, but it does have Cytherea, and then the big unit it has is the Challenger Bird, the 2/1 that gets Challenger, and that does pair extremely well with both Vanyip and Taskmaster. And so ideally, this worst rated one is the one that I would take. That might be just kind of personal preferences, but then I would probably take this Ash second. The kind of issue with this Retribution Callista is it has already has 2 cards that we don't want. If we're kind of forcing ourselves into an Allegiance deck, and Callista, we're going to be searching for the Blighted Caretakers and Neverglade Collectors, so we're going to need to get kind of heavy into Shadow Isles, and if that doesn't come together, on the other side of the coin, we're just trying to stack on this Garen and find more Vanguard Bannermen. And so if we don't find specifically like these build-around cards, then our deck's just going to fall flat. And so that's at least one of the bonuses to this Frozen Solid Ash here, is the Archer and the Ash are just good. The Entreat's pretty bad, but these cards are reasonable, and there's no specific cards that we have to find in Frozen Solid for this to be good. But it is, if we go and look at the pool, like, ideally what I would be trying to do here is I wouldn't take any Freylord cards unless it was Harsh Winds. It's pretty easy to look at it this way. You can easily evaluate your packs as, does it have Harsh Winds in it? No, then we're not taking it. You can also include She Who Wanders in that kind of mix because it's just so good. But in general, we just wouldn't want to take any Freylord cards unless that card was Harsh Winds, and then we'd be focusing on being a Garen deck. But we'll have to see how this pans out. We actually just drafted Ash in the previous run. We tried to kind of do some Ash build around, and the deck fell kind of flat. We didn't really find any of the early drops that we needed, Icevale Archer being extremely important, and then Avrosian Sentry also being extremely important. We didn't see any of the Outriders, and so we kind of had all of the top end and the Harsh Winds and the Alpha Wild Claws and the Rhymetusk Shaman, but we didn't have these early drops. Like the Starlit Seer should be included in there. The Seer, the Sentry, and the Archer are extremely important in any Ash deck. But nonetheless, let me get back here. I clicked some buttons, so things are going messed up. And there we go, I'm taking this Ash. All right. Well, it's at least synced us up with these Demacian Steel cards. This is exactly what we'd be looking for here. Like, we're trying to stack up in the elites. We don't really want any Freylord cards unless it has Harsh Winds in it. This would be a reasonable pivot point, finding an Avrosian Outrider, but when we're, have the option to play elites, and we already have Bannerman reinforcements with the option for Battlesmith, it's pretty easy to just jump in on this this elite set here. And then we'd be okay to pick up Protégés. Standalone is pretty unplayable in this deck. It's pretty tough to only have one unit on the board when you're playing elites. So we'll take the Battlesmith. And what are we picking up here? A Judgment with a Mage Seeker? I think that's pretty reasonable here as well. We would have gotten, if we had gone with Ash, we would have been right on track to have this really good Allegiance deck. If we'd taken the Outrider first and had a second one, it would have been a great spot to just go all in on Freylord. But this Judgment is reasonable here. It's just always a big blowout whenever this connects, and we have a pretty easy time just getting into combat. Probably able to cast this Investigator as well. We already have a Judgment and a Reinforcements, and so I don't like this unless we have like 3 or 4 expensive cards in our deck, and so it should be fine here. Whether or not it's Judgment, Reinforcements, Redemption, whatever the thing is that costs 6 and makes 5 cost units, or the actual 1-drop that makes expensive cards, all of them are fine for turning on the Mage Seeker. Okay. Here, this is kind of what we're stuck with taking. Given the option, I would actually take this Investigator with the Redoubled Valor. just it's cheaper. It makes a removal spell, which is pretty tough for our deck to have in this Investigator, and the Redoubled Valor is kind of fun. We'll have a reasonable target to put this on. But as it stands, we're getting kind of stuck with this 4 Demacia Swiftwing Lancer. I also wouldn't fault you for want to taking the Seer and the Elixir. We've only seen the one Bannerman up to this point, and so we don't really have to be all in on the Bannerman, but he is, in my opinion, the only reason to draft Demacian Steel. And so it's kind of tough to... I think you have to see these cards, say these are good cards, but we're trying to draft Bannerman here and just ignore them. Doesn't have harsh winds in it. Okay. What do we got here? War Chefs and a Blade Keeper. That's fine. I would prefer these two cheaper units over here, and we could ignore the Troop and the Brutal Steel. Just being a deck that really has curve issues, I would just want to take the two cheaper cards, and we already have some build-arounds to the Mage Seeker theme, even though we're just playing with Garen. But War Chefs is a reasonable unit. I'm not a big fan of the Blade Keeper in this style of deck. You really want this in a deck that has like challengers or high value units. Our units aren't real high value, they just have a lot of stats. And so this is where we're at though. And let's see. Oh boy, this is the kind of thing I was worried about happening. Is the pack we want is this Warden with the reinforcements. The reinforcements would be outstanding in this deck right now. But looks like we're taking a Seer. I'm not sure. I probably actually prefer the Wild Claw. Our top end hasn't got too out of line so far, but it is two drops. But nonetheless, we're taking the Seer and the Wild Claw. Okay. We're losing our allegiance here. I would take this Demacian Steel given the choice. I do really like an On Guard. I prefer it in a Scouts deck to where you can get 2 attacks with a Challenger unit. Just extremely powerful to kind of like pick off your opponent's 1/1 and then make a real trade. Or if you're on guarding like a did we take the one? The Divine Shield one? The Divine Shield one plays extremely well with this. Even the Grizzled Ranger plays well with this. And so I'm a big fan of On Guard with the Scouts, and then this is a pretty mediocre elite, but it is an elite that can be kind of cheaper at some point. But nonetheless, we're taking the Sentry and the Wild Claw. I think we're turning into kind of a mid-rangey deck here. Okay. This is the one I think could likely be the best. The Succession just plays great here. We don't have any 1-drops yet, and so just a great unit to play on 3. These are kind of whatever. Our top end is fine. I do like to have some of these 1-cost unit or 1-cost combat tricks, because what we tend to run into with a deck like this is kind of like from turn 3 forward, we're just wanting to spend all of our mana on units, and we kind of want them all to be on curve. And so we kind of want to playing a 3-drop, a 4-drop, a 5-drop, a 6-drop, and that doesn't leave us room to play cards like Riposte or back-to-back. But it is really easy to just have 1 spell mana, and it kind of let us snowball and take over our combat. So I do really like these 1-cost tricks in a deck like this. But here we'll be taking this, the Lancer Succession. All right. All the 4 Demacias. This is fine. I wouldn't want the expensive cards here anyways. Kind of the same deal here, although it does have another Elixir. We're gonna cast all the 4 Demacias this game. We've already got 2 of them. 2 of the actual one. You can... I'm kind of like coming around to 4 Demacia in like Scouts decks. This is just so incredibly good in Scouts. It's typically like before patch 1.5, maybe even a little bit before then. Vanguard Sergeant was just everywhere, and so every deck had access to 4 Demacia. You didn't want the actual spell, but now I think he only lives in Demacian Steel, so you kind of have to luck into him unless you're drafting specifically Demacian Steel. And so we actually have to kind of play this card now. It does make these Mage Seekers a little better. I think we have 2 of them. No, we just have the 1. we didn't get the picks I wanted, and so we'll have to kind of remember that. We can just slow down. Okay. Well, there is a Battlesmith. I do really dislike Mobilize, but this is such a great build around in elites. He pairs up well with Double Bird, the whatever it's called, the Vanguard thing that makes 2 Challenger birds. If you're not familiar with my vernacular of what the cards are, there's Challenger Bird. That's the 2/1 that gets Challenger when you play a unit, costs 1 mana, and then Double Bird is the thing that costs 4 mana and makes the 2 2-1 challengers. Battlesmith plays so well with Double Bird. It's an elite. And so I would be okay to take Mobilize for this, but we're at least getting 2 cheap cards here. Keep our curve a little bit in check. Okay, and some more big stuff. And then here again, given the choice, I would be pretty happy with all these Mage Seekers. We wouldn't be like full on elites here, but we could kind of trade into doing some more elite things, and these would just be great curve fillers. If we had it how I wanted, we'd have 2 Persuaders and 2 Invokers or Investigators. It'd be pretty reasonable for us to pop off on these 6-cost spells. But nonetheless, we're taking these mid-rangey units here. Let's see. Ooh, an Icy Breath, Ice Yeti. 2 cards I hate. This would be another great spot for an Investigator and a Purify, or even just 2 elites. But nonetheless, we're taking the Winter's Breath and the Yeti. We're pretty set on winning combats, so if we can, like, I think what we're going to have to try to focus on actually in the games is just, this feels a lot like a don't lose until you win deck. Like, we probably can't beat Heimerdinger or Lux ever, but every other deck, as long as we can, like, survive to where we're just playing like a 4 Demacia or Winter's Breath every attack, we should be able to take over the games that way. Okay. Oh boy, I don't see how this is like the best cards ever. These cards are just garbage. Here's Double Bird. Like, this is, I would love to have this set of cards right here, especially if we had the 2 Battlesmiths and the 2 Reinforcements. It would just be everything we're looking for that isn't Vanguard Bannerman. But yeah, let's see what we got. This Shatter and the Yeti, and a big trade. What do we got? Ooh, a Nandi. Here I would, like, kind of objectively, Entreat is awful, and Brittle Steel is you know, kind of exactly the combat trick we're looking for in this deck. I would trade out the unplayable for the very good card, as opposed to, this is kind of one of these deals where both of these things do the same thing. They're just both kind of mid-rangey big units, and so, like, you know, arguably I think Wolf Rider is just better than Spirit Walker, but this is kind of one of these spots to where if, like, I'm looking to build the deck, I'll look at this as trading like a 7 for a 7.5, whereas this is like trading a 2 for an 8. And so, you know, maybe we should call it, what if we call this like an 8.5? I think that makes it sound better. So if, like, we have an 8 and an 8.5, like, the Spirit Walker is objectively better than the Brittle Steel. I don't agree, but we're just using that for the example. But the difference between these two is so big. Like, if when Entreat being borderline unplayable and the Brittle Steel being almost as good as this unit, I'm typically happier to get rid of the Entreat, because it's a bigger change in quality as opposed to the Wolf Rider here. But nonetheless, tells us this is the best, and that's what we're taking. All right, let's get to it. At least our curve didn't get too out of whack. We at least have some kind of early game plays that we can make, and so that's at least a perk. It didn't get, we only saw the 1 Bannerman, and so it's not the end of the world that didn't pop up as being like big on the list. It's kind of okay that we're at 50-50 on our card split, since we only saw the 1. We'll probably just luck into some allegiances when we don't need it, and then we'll miss it when we don't. All right, there we go. It's getting to that point to where I start to wonder if it's going to break or not. All right, I think we can keep our 2 cheap cards and then look for some cheaps. There's always, I talk about this occasionally on game ones when the champions show up. There's kind of an argument for keeping them because the quality tends to be so high, and then you're not very likely to draw them. But I don't think it really applies to Garen. To an Ashe, maybe. She's a little bit cheaper, but it's typically with things like that are more built around-y, like if this was a, say, like a Heimerdinger. Like, Heimerdinger's just so good at winning games that if we had one in our opener, it's typically too expensive to keep, but since we're in game 1 and we only have 1 copy, I kind of lean towards keeping them. But it's Not an unreasonable start here.
See through all.
Pretty willing to just throw this elixir into anything.
Tales of
Don't
our
even need to.
past are
Just
seeds
for me.
for our future.
You playing
Think
Zed?
before you
Okay.
strike.
Sure. Alright. Working out pretty well. Sure, big old boy. So I think we should see what champion we hit with this. I think we're probably just going to do this anyways. Like an Ashe would be great here.
By snow and stars.
This is a touch awkward. At least shuts this attack down. I kind of want to play both of these in the same turn, but it's going to be 3 turns away, 2 attacks before we can actually pull this off. So we'll just shut down this attack here.
Not and ready.
We'll see how this goes. To a degree, I really want to put 3 damage on this Bull Elnick, because the way this is going to pan out is we'll play Ashe this turn, and then we do have an argument to either play 4 Demacia or Ice Yeti on our next attack, but we probably prefer it to be Ice Yeti. And so if we get 3 damage on this, the Yeti will frostbite it when it comes down. Okay, I'm willing to just throw away Ashe here.
Avarosans, stand together.
We're never going to flip her. Like I guess, technically could with these Yetis, but I think we're good to just get this damage in.
So cold.
Surprised we actually just got a straight trade there.
We don't want any trouble.
Big old boys. I don't know what to go about this. This is starting to be a problem. I mean, we can kind of do the same thing where we put a block here and a block here to just get a good frostbite next turn, but I think we need to just be playing 4 Demacia. We're getting to that point where we're kind of threatening lethal, but it might take us 2 turns to actually get there. Kind of the other option we have is to, say, block the Bull Elnick with the Sergeant, and then Judgment, so that we put the 3 damage on all his units. I think that's what we're going to go for here.
They'll never see me coming. Closing in on the mark.
Wow. Okay. But then we have stone nothing to do here, but that was pretty good for us.
Don't ask where it's from. Ask how much.
So now we do have the option to kind of do a similar thing to where we can attack with both of our 3s and then Judgment in combat that'll kill these smaller units. Or we can just last breath. Interesting pickup. I think that's the way we want to take this. Sure.
An auspicious season.
The storm approaches.
Okay.
This will be a good winter.
We just got to get in here. We can lose something to Twin Disciplines, but that's the only combat trick we're really worried about here. Sure.
Oops, you dropped
Picked
something.
up before Demacia.
These eyes see all.
That's a bit of a problem.
You're nothing.
Oh man, we're gonna get this play all lined up. and then he's just gonna for Demacia into us. It's brutal. These be so good. These Yetis be so good next turn if he gets greedy with this for Demacia. Come on, friend. Play a unit. You have all this mana. This thing only costs 5. Put a unit down for us. Fuck. Okay. Oh. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
My friends, though.
It's still a problem. I mean, the 4 Demacia is still going to make these units good, but we would have just died if he opened with that. Change of plans.
We know the value of coins.
Nice. I think we need to block. Like, he has free plunders anyways, but I think we want to make him actually do work for him. We do still have this elixir if he has some kind of weird combat trick here. Should just be Twin Disciplines, but I think he would have played it last turn if he had it.
Vessel's small, but she ain't lacking courage.
Okay. Another good Yeti. Can for Demacia here, which is a bit awkward, but certainly a better spot than we were in the previous round. Like, if he can't spend this for Demacia to attack with, then that's a big win for us. Okay, so I mean the best he has is to trade this here. I think we're okay with that. You can't have like back-to-back. You can harsh winds, which is not the end of the world. Okay. This for Demacia just has me worried. I don't want to just be slamming this this archer into this unit when we don't have to.
Add this to your bill. Reel him in.
Okay, works for me.
Pin feathers!
Sure. Not a bad pickup from our deck. It's a little unfortunate.
Laurents are born
Sure.
with blades in hand.
Okay. All right. I think we just need to play our own here, right? It's so unfortunate that you can't play both of these in the same turn. We can technically pop this with the archer. 6, then you can trade with a little bit of things. You can put the 5s in front of these. Can we ever win this with Judgment? Judgment will kill just this one thing. Well, we can Judgment for 6, that'll kill 3 of them. Okay.
A true Freljordian welcome.
Give me silver or give you steel.
Hug out!
For the fallen!
Alright, so we still have to block all this stuff even though we're planning on killing it.
You will not prevail.
We probably just lose anyways if he has some kind of trick here. How much is this? 14 minus 3? Is that 11? It would take 2 spells to kill us like that. Then we can elixir if we need to. I think I'm fine with that.
I'll protect the villages.
Okay. See if he's got like the Will of Aonia. That would be the big worry here, or a Frostbite out of Freylord. He hadn't snapped it off, so maybe just pondering how bad life is right now. Rage quit? Oh, shit. Nope. Oh, fuck. What's this? Elixir of Iron? Do we die out of that? Nope. And then these units still trade. Our own elixir doesn't do anything. And how's this end? We just have 2 Yetis to his thing here? Okay.
Force. Take my helmet.
Okay. Okay. Still in it, boys. Oh, I forgot he had warning shot. We gotta be real careful about that. Oh, fuck. We're just dead, aren't we? Fuck. Guess I should have elixired. I forgot about this warning shot. What a shitty one to just lose. Maybe he won't notice. What else can you say other than maybe they won't notice? Okay. I don't think they're gonna notice. I don't know if we can come back in this one now, though. These attacks aren't good. We can just do this. We have to play Bannerman. Yeah.
I'll
Ugh,
take my time.
gross. Okay. So let's see. What's the best one here? Ooh, this 89 for a Cytheria? Okay. Oh, I forgot to skip this trade was a choice as well. Didn't matter. Gonna pick up Cytheria here. This is probably what I would generally do as well. If our curve wasn't so far out of whack, we'd be really excited to pick up Cytherias. But kind of is what it is. I don't think she's like ultra important in this kind of deck, because your units just tend to be so much bigger than your opponents. Still watching the expedition win rates. I think Katarina's been the lowest one on here. Alright. Really gonna need to find our early game stuff against this the Zed Lucian. Let's have such a good chance to blow us out. Get rid of these expensives. I think we just want to get rid of everything. Right, kind of the idea is we're probably going to find a 3-drop by 3, but we really have to find one of these 2s. This is okay. The succession was a perfect pickup here.
My shield is yours.
If he wants to put the 2 damage on this, that's fine, and if we get a trade with the Protector, that's fine as well.
My steel is yours.
Okay.
Demacian soldier is worth 10 foes.
Break their spirits and their swords.
Touch awkward. I think this is okay. And if he doesn't open on us, it's pretty good.
I'll write my own story.
So then who do we want to boost? We can kind of protect this thing in combat, or we can just make this guy bigger so we can deal with this protege. I think we just want to slow this down and protect this guy. Because then if we play this, then like he kind of has to either hook this with the protege, kind of leaving these open, or he has to hook it down here, where he just loses his unit. I think this is fine.
Strength and grace, beauty in the blade.
We just need to not die, right? As long as his board doesn't start to overwhelm us, we have all the expensives it takes to win this game. Sure.
Protect and strike.
Wasn't expecting Sonic Wave. That's pretty good here.
Aha!
Aren't you attacking with Cythria? I'll just be bombing everything in here. Get this trade with the other half of your wave. Interesting. Okay. Why are you attacking with this then? Okay,
I'll do my best.
sure. Works for me.
Will you comply, or are you complicit?
No, really just planning on banking the spell mana here. God, these challengers have been a real pain in the ass. They're just slightly bigger than our units all the time, and that doesn't feel like how it should ever be.
Harry, riposte? You are hardly fair.
Okay, I think we have to judgment here. It's going to pick up a detain and wipe out his whole board and leave us with a unit behind. And then it'll force this to be a trade. We got Will of Ionia is so bad for us. Detain. That's pretty bad for us as well.
I lost?
Okay. We just come out with the big boy, right? He can just eat the damage, but we got to do something to build this board up.
Alright, let's mess some folks up.
I mean, if he's got a riposte, he's got a
How you
riposte.
doing?
They've got everything. They've got it all. Sure. Okay. 8, 10, take us to 3. I assume he's going to open here. Yep.
Charge!
We just have to get as much board as we can.
Pledge yourself to the shadows.
If
They're out
I
there.
mean, the problem here is he's just going to open on us next turn. As it stands, we have to deal with the Zed. Is there any way we just threaten lethal here? Like with this, we'd only have 4, so we can't play any other units. We can technically like search up Ash and shatter something, but we have to kill the Zed. Is the big problem here. There's just no way we get a Winter's Breath off next turn. He's like 100% going to open on us. Okay. Oh god, he's blocking. Oh god, this is never good. Okay. Sure. Alright, so I guess there's something that we could end up drawing here. Well, in theory there is. We know that there's nothing we have. But if he doesn't open on us, then we can maybe draw a Yeti or something, or Archer does it as well. Okay.
Look out for Reavers.
Alright, just push the button. It's going to take forever. Okay. And so, yeah, it didn't go well as one would have hoped. Since this was so quick, I'll just go ahead and jump in on another one as well. We'll get the deck list pulled up here real quick, because I don't think this combination is can't maximize it. Okay, like go away. Good, no. Go away. What is this? Good. How do I get this out of here? Did we? How do we? Alright, I guess we lost it. But nonetheless, like that can't be a reasonable card pool. Oh, there we go. That's what we wanted. I just needed to click a button. But you know, we were kind of looking at some specific things here. We could have had a real elite deck that we didn't have come together. Could have had a reasonable mid-rangey deck, but this had some, you know, just kind of interesting choices that we had to pick up. Like, I'd never recommend picking up Shatter. Never want Entreat, but that was with our champion. It's just kind of like awkward set of cards up here. It has a real high value on these Ice Yetis. And so, yep, if you're looking to draft the elites, I mean, my big thing to say with those is to really watch your curve. I mean, yes, it's nice if we can like pick up a Cythria or something, that's whatever, but in general, we're just looking for like the top end of our curve, like the four drops plus. We really just want Bannerman, the one Garen, and then picking up something like Cythria is fine, and then the reinforcements. See, the thing that you run into is it's really, really easy to get these decks to where it's like double Lancer, double Spirit Walker, double Alpha Wildclaw, double Yeti, just like way, way, way too much expensive stuff in here. And so, yeah, I don't really recommend Ash. If you jump in on this pairing, that the kind of way I like to look at it is, you know, we're playing this Vanguard Bannerman deck, but then we'll still take Harsh Winds. Harsh Winds plus anything is good enough to add to this kind of deck. But nonetheless, that one was not successful, unfortunately. Let's jump into the other half of this expedition and see how it goes. We'll still do the same thing. What the hell's this? Did I just retire it? What's it doing? Huh, okay, whatever. Whatever. So let's see. Oh man, we have the choice between Sejuani or Fiora. Oh man, Which one do we think could end up going better? A fear for taking the Sejuani. I think we're going to run into the same problem we did in the previous run, as to where it's just going to stack our deck up too expensive. So I'm going to take this Fiora here. They both can't have the best value. The best applies to one. But yeah, let's take Fiora. Let me pull her up real quick with the shield wall. Okay, this is just what I look to be as an OTK deck. We just want to 100% build around Fiora, and then we're going to just take all of the barriers between the Protector, Prismatic Barrier, and Riposte being the important ones. Prismatic Barrier because it lets us do this thing to where we don't play anything in the first 2 turns, and then on turn 3 we can get an attack in with Fiora and then have the mana to Barrier. And then from that point forward we have 4 mana, so we can Riposte or Barrier or Protector, whatever it is, and just challenge a lethal attack with Fiora every turn the rest of the game. And so the big thing with this deck is we're usually looking for like 3 or 4 Barriers, 3 or 4 Ripostes, a non-zero number of Bright Steel Protectors. And then kind of the other side of the coin here is, what happens if things go wrong with Fiora? And so it doesn't have, what's she called? Laurent Protege, but we're usually looking for Challenger Bird and Laurent Protege as our kind of fallback plans in case things go wrong with Fiora. Laurent Cavalier fills in really well there as well. If we don't get the OTK with Fiora, just getting a big value game out of the Cavalier, usually enough to win you the game, but he's epic, and so it can be kind of tough to pull off. So nonetheless, it's been a while since we drafted Fiora anyways, so let's see how this goes with her. I just saw it lined up with Shadows and Dust, and I was like, holy shit, that sounds like the worst pairing of the year. But no, it's with Ancient Evil Tryndamere. I'm not a huge fan of this card pool, but it looks like what we're taking here, it certainly sounds better than Karma, and most definitely better than Hecarim. The thing with this pool is it used to be a Spiders deck, and then they... it used to be like a no-theme deck, just expensive cards, and they made it a Spiders deck, which was cool, and then Maokai came out, and now it's back to just being expensive cards that don't pair well together. But let's get this pulled up, see what we can get into here. The big thing I was looking for here was the combat tricks. There's Brittle Steel, which plays excellent with Fiora, but beyond that, there aren't any combat tricks. I guess Caught in the Cold kind of counts. And so all we'll really be hoping that falls out of this deck is we're happy to pick up Sentries, happy to pick up Brittle Steels, real happy to pick up Omen Hawks, and then beyond that we don't really want any of these cards. They Who Endure could be okay, but I have to imagine this plays very poorly with a deck that just wants 1 unit on the board. This suit up is a go tall strategy where you're really just focusing on 1 unit, but there is some power here as well. I think we could make this work if we had to. But yeah, if you look at it, it's kind of got like Poros and Yetis. I guess the idea with this deck now is you're trying to be a They Who Endure deck. It's just all the tools aren't here. Just the Poro, Omen Hawk, Sentry don't really feel like enough to like pop off on They Who Endure. But nonetheless, this is what we're doing. Got the old 89 here. Let's see how this goes. What the fuck? You own Scout Snapper? No, I want this Detain. I 100% want this Detain. But yeah, this is kind of like I speak to this a lot, where it's really tough to do a run without one of these unconditional removal spells, and so I place a really high value on taking your first Detain or Vengeance or Thermogenic Beam or Noxan Guillotine, whatever it has that can just deal with anything. I would love to take this Shield Wall pack. I don't like these. This is kind of why I don't like the Ancient Evil card pool. It's got this Yeti sub-theme in it that just doesn't really fit. Maybe it would be better in the future, but given the card pool now, there's not a high enough density of good Yetis to make me want to play this theme. But nonetheless, we're taking this Yone. Let's see how it goes. Shield Wall, that's off of Shen. Alright, we've got some expensive cards here. Interesting. I wouldn't I guess we just have to kind of like ignore the fact that building around Fiora is a thing, because that's not what we're doing here. I think this would be a pretty ignorable pack since we're in 3 colors and don't want allegiance cards. I'd probably be interested in this Ranger's Resolve, since it plays particularly well with a Challenger deck, but we're going for the big value here. Oh yeah, it says it has the best value. So let's snatch these up. Okay, alright, well we got a barrier. Got a big unit and a barrier. Let's see what we can do with it. I would really prefer this Sentry and this Brittle Steel, but is what it is. Taking the Protector. Okay, where are we at now? Ooh, the Tusk Raider. He can at least win some games for us. It's not quite necessary with not having Sejuani, just because this ability is so powerful. We can maybe make standalone work with Fiora. It costs 4 mana now, so this used to be one of the best decks was the standalone deck when it cost 3. Like in the deck building when we were talking about not playing anything the first 2 turns. So you bank up the 3 spell mana, then on 3 you can play standalone on Fiora or what is it, so Selfless Monk or whatever it is. She got nerfed, but the 4/3 elusive for 3, just make 1 monster unit going tall in the 3rd turn. But maybe we can make this work here. Okay, our 70, cool, some 2-drops. I would prefer the War Chefs. War Chefs also plays extremely well with Fiora. This War Chefs and Fleet Feather Tracker curve is pretty spectacular as well. But nonetheless, some early curve for us. What's this? So the Relentless pack, these are fine. This is what I would prefer out of all of these. Keeper of Mass Scales. The Scales does play kind of interesting with Fiora being able to boost up her health. But these are fine. They're at least marginal units. What is this? Greenglade Caretaker Scales. Okay. Oh, we could have 2 War Chefs. This could be such a juicy number here. All right, the Riposte pack with Usari. That'll work. These other packs are kind of turdy. All right, more barriers. Glad we picked up that Greenglade Caretaker because it's making us want to take barriers. But this is fine. I don't like Tarkaz here. This 3rd War Chefs would be pretty spectacular. But nonetheless, at least we're picking up barriers. What do we got here? Usari Bilavaonia? I would prefer these. This Caretaker would be pretty good here. Like in the previous one, it was making us snatch up these barriers, and then now it's taking us away from it. But the single combat plays extremely well in the barrier deck. What tends to happen is you can either help OTK with Fiora, or you can barrier a unit and your opponent kind of ignores it and then still have access to single combat after. There's lots of cool things you can do with it. But we're on the Usari Will. Bright Steel. I was like, it just has to be Bright Steel formation, right? Okay. Where are we at here? These work well together. We would have like a really cool a really cool Shen deck with no Shen if we had like the 3 Caretakers and like 1 or 2 more barriers. Like the Green Fang Warden starts with barrier, so it helps here. Could have a really cool Caretaker deck going. But we got to take these expensives. Oh. And our last one. Oh, we got the choice on these 84s here. Comes down to us on this one. I think I really just want Omen Hawk. This card is just so incredibly powerful. I think our curve is kind of like hopefully good enough. We can still kind of go to this don't play anything till the 3rd turn plan. We do lose one of our 3s to make this happen, but the thing is, like, I don't think our top end is like way too much. Yeah, it is. yeah, it is. All right, so we'll take the Senna. I didn't realize that we had 4 7-drops and 3 cards that cost more than 7. What was that? 7, like 20% of our deck costs more than 7 mana. All right, let's do it. we don't just get run over, it might be okay, but we're gonna have to count on like Fiora and these barriers to do some work early, and just hope we never get tempoed. Okay, I'm not excited to be seeing Draven there, but this is a reasonable start. I don't really want this. Like, you can kind of see the curve here. You know, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we can't actually attack with this on 4, and so I think we just want to look for more cheaps. Okay.
It's
Sure.
Raven time. This is
Interesting.
awesome.
I think we just want to play this this snapper big, and then stand alone it on turn 4. Just give him this monster unit that he has to try to plow through.
Let's play.
Okay. If we take 2 stats off a slot bot, it's fine. This looks like a bad block from him. I don't really want to be attacking here, but I also don't want it to look like super obvious that we're about to go all in on this snapper.
Raven, I love you.
Me too, kiddo. Me too. Let's do this.
And then I'm really kind of tempted to just try to take down slot bot. He took away our option to do it. But like, you know, we kind of like know what we're getting into with this Draven. He's probably not taking advantage of these spinning axes in this deck, and so I would have been kind of interested in taking care of this. Oh shit. Oh, okay. I was like, no way. They took Elixir of Wrath out of Expedition. There's no way he just kills here. Okay, I guess we should just run out units. Be really cool if this slot bot only had 3 health next turn.
Spin, spin, spin. You win.
LOL. 2 axes.
I long for a worthy opponent.
Okay. Let's just go for value. We're never winning this game with a Fiora OTK, and so I want to try and get the 2 value attacks here and just win on board. Like, yes, he has 2 spinning axes, but if he spins more than one of them, then we're just getting infinite cards out of it. Oh. Okay. It's not what he was hoping to do.
Play again.
Sure. Seems real awkward in this deck. I would even have that. That's not in a Gangplank pool. And he's playing Noxus Piltover. Huh, okay.
You dream it, I'll build it.
We just want to go big here. There's a good chance we just lethal him this turn. We can pop this thing with Yone, and then challenge whatever he plays with Fiora. We're looking at 16 we can get in. Okay.
More equipment for the field.
That's probably not even a cycle here. She turns every card you draw into fleeting, and so if you aren't actually playing these cards, then you lose them.
Nothing like the stink of blood and sweat. You poor thing.
But, you know, it's unfortunate to have to make a trade here, but if he just gets the block in on Yone, then he has so much more health.
Bounty board knows me now.
Probably just kill him with the hatchling now.
Get bloody, get paid.
Sure.
I could use two of me.
I think it's an. Why wouldn't you pick a card you're spinning, Axe? Anyways, we can. I think we probably just want to play Senna Badger Bear, and then next turn we'll play the Hatchling and have her post back up. It's an embarrassment of riches when you have Bright Steel formation and don't need to play it. This is fine.
Do not interfere.
Get the blocker off board. I don't know why I wouldn't attack with this thing. Okay.
Sentinels of light don't fear the dark.
All right. Well, we're wider than him with an overwhelm. We just have to open here. And we just draw a riposte? Sure. Guess we could do this right.
My gun does the talking.
The blade above all.
How do we... Here, we want it like this.
Face your fate.
Right, we want our smallest unit on the left, so if he shouldn't have the lifesteal card anyways, but if he has access to the lifesteal card,
Ooh, got some
he's
fight
going to
here.
want to block down here with his big units. Okay. Good game, friend. Alright, we got to win. Let's see. Get out of here. Okay. What's our big number here? Shen? Okay. It's at least got barriers. I'd really prefer to just be stacking up to 3 Fiora. Her flip is so good in these OTK decks since, if you draw multiple Fioras, it just turns into her post, and then she's the actual card you want to be drawing. We're kind of close to an OTK deck, but looks like we want Shen here. We'd rather Shen work better with Caretaker than Fiora work well with her post. Wow, it's just the actual worst pack. Versus Tryndamere with an Entreat. Must be the best way to go is just to get your curve up to 1 million. But okay. Let's see, we can't keep those expensives. I think we could probably get rid of Badger Bear as well. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 threes. That should be close enough to assume we'll pick up 1 by 3.
Take a look at this.
He was playing Lux, right? Luxheimer with a Callista? Sure. Hopefully this Callista just dilutes his deck down a lot. I don't think any of the Callista pools have like Vengeance in it. I
Time
think
to get my
like one has
hands
Black
dirty.
Spear, and I think that's about the extent of it. Okay, I think we're good to just bank this mana. See if he plays something. I mean, we can play Protector after if we feel the need. I just don't think we quite need to here.
Control. control the mages?
Keep the peace.
Okay, I don't think we care about this open.
Track them down.
Sure.
Sentinels of light don't fear the dark.
We shall pierce their treasonous arms.
All right, she's gonna be a problem. We don't have any challengers right here. Well, we drew Fiora. Maybe we do have challengers here.
Always 2 steps ahead.
There is hope.
Okay.
For the honor. En garde. My gun does the talking.
So he's gonna have some expensives, but we just have to try to take over on board here.
Put vengeance to rest.
He can't play either of those cards until a turn or two from now. And so that might be our saving grace here. He can't give this thing Challenger. He doesn't have any banked up spell mana. Might be able to OTK with this if we play Shen and Fiora. Use Shen on Fiora. Then we have a riposte for whenever he tries to get this challenge in.
Not so fast.
Okay, let's just get this out of here. Don't even worry about it.
Protect Demacia.
Hang on, I'm suspect.
My shield is yours.
I feel like there's an incoming Black Spear. There's not, but
If they're out there, I'll
I
spot
still think we're going to be able to OTK this game with Fiora. And now we have the mana to play Shen and riposte Shen if we need to.
I walk the space between worlds.
Everywhere I go, the
that's
light
awkward.
follows.
I find them unworthy.
In Avarosa's name.
We can go ahead and just cycle this.
Try me.
Met with steel.
This is my choice.
Counter and strike.
I don't know. Like we're certainly ahead on board here, and he has 2 expensive cards in his hand. We can't protect Fiora from Final Spark now. But I don't think we would ever be able to win this game with an OTK. I think we really needed to just focus on getting a bigger board than this and just trying to run over this Lux. Sure.
Pushing my limits.
So I'm sure that Final Spark will hit Fiora. What are our chances to get this Shen flipped? Like, this is 1. We need 1 more. I think, like, next turn is our Yone turn. So we want to play Yeti and then, like, 1 other card. We probably want...
What do you
I think we actually do want Stalking Wolf on board. Yep.
No more holding back.
Okay. So this will flip our Shen.
Yasuo! Show yourself!
Okay. That's a little unfortunate, but he's got his Lux out of here. Fade this Heimer for a while. And let's see if we can't find Trintamir. We didn't, but this is okay.
You could be so much more.
Sure. Okay.
Too
Two lefts, then a right.
Don't be afraid.
We don't need topsiders.
Bar the doors!
Suspect of that attack, but sure.
Ow!
Feels like he just kind of gave up on the game. We're at 10. I don't think we want to play both. I think we want
We
to...
protect these woods as they protect
Green
us.
Fang will probably just end up hooking this thing down, but we're going to play Green Fang Wolf and then probably Lancer, maybe Usari. One of these Fobs will be coming down.
We go.
Alright, let's at least get the free attack in.
This one will do.
Or where that came from.
Still just doing nothing again. It's fairly suspect. At least we'll get value out of these Lancers if he has a second Ruination for whatever reason. Very suspect in not spending any mana here, though. I didn't see where that last Ruination came from.
Ready, boy?
Russell, I guess that makes sense. We can hit. We can hit, right? Alright, 8. So we probably need to play something that can get in front of this. It has to be you. Can't have him just like hooking one of our small units and not have a blocker for Rasa. Oh, Andy's got detain mana now? Yeah, that's gross. So we're just going to have to eat this Rasa hit, right? We assume he locks up one of these with the detain. Well, let's just play it. Hope for the best. At least it isn't lethal. Really? You're going to do that now, right? Why would you ever let me block and then do it? What are you doing? What are you doing, buddy? That's a dangerous way to go about that.
Very well.
Do we ever just take this? I think we do. If we hit with this Bannerman, this could be such a huge turn. Bright Steel. Huh. I don't think we can do it. I think we just have to go wide. We still have a blocker if we have to have a blocker next turn. And then if we actually hit. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4? 4 out of 14? So we hit like a quarter of the time. A little better than a quarter. Ugh. Alright, well YOLO. This doesn't win us the game. Well, how do we think of that? Maybe he does, since we can block with him next turn. Okay.
A machine for sports ball.
Seems like a suspect time to be playing that. Maybe he wanted the blocker so he didn't have to block with Rasa. He never has to block with Rasa. Alright, boys. I think we're back in it. No, of course. Makes sense. Well, I guess that'll do it. So close to coming back. Alright, well, let's see what great trade we get here. Alright, a Swiftwing Lancer for a first blade. Make sure it's not better just to stay where we're at. Yeah, that's fine. I'm glad to pick up challengers in this sort of pseudo-theme barrier deck. Alright, we can keep Yeti. I'm pretty tempted to keep Shen here as well because he plays so well. Wonder if we're able to do mid-range stuff against this stack. The Shen Badger Bear combo. This will be okay. I think we want to play this. I think we just want to bank. I know we don't have any spells here, but I think it's the safe play to just kind of bank up our spell mana. Awkward. You would have been more optimal here. But let's at least not give him choices.
Fish out of water.
Eyes blazing bright as torches.
I walk this space
This is a
between
safe
worlds.
block if he comes in. The only bonus, the only like combat winning trick he could have is Fury of the North, and it costs 4 mana. Do we want to start in with this? I don't think so. Let's get our big boys going.
Our strength is yours.
Alright, well, we can
I
repost
find
that
them
down.
unworthy.
Stand and defend.
Should be clearly obvious that this barrier is incoming. If he has a frostbite, it's okay. Nope, just big blowout. Alright, boys. We got 2. We can play a Warden next turn. Take him up to 3, and then we'll have the flip on our next attack.
Faster than my arrow? I think not.
What do you see, boy?
This is good. Then we can still repost if we need to.
Who's on top of the bounty board today?
As the arrow flies!
The balance has
Okay.
been maintained.
Oh, I'm sorry, friend. You're getting reposted out of this one.
So cold.
This seems like a pretty good Yone.
True power requires restraint.
Oh, this barrier deck would have been so cool if we could have put it together. I don't know if I would have I'm at least kind of glad we did this because I don't think I would have seen this as being a thing, where we just kind of forced ourselves to take Ionia, right after taking Tryndamere. Doesn't seem like something I'd typically do. And we don't have any value out of this scout attack.
I sense an
It's kind of like
imbalance.
this. This is just lethal. I think it's just lethal. Unless he has another spell. Right, our 3 smalls are 14, so he can block Yone.
Why are you here?
Winter's claw strikes.
Fresh is worth at least twice as
Alright, so
much.
we're not going to have the time to get this scales play down, right? Where we went to Scales of the Dragon and put the bonus onto Shen. Did we want to play that anyways? Probably not. I think we'll end up playing these 3 down here on the right. So let's just go ahead and get the Yeti down. So we have good blockers on this other stuff. So it looks like his only good attack is Hunters into Shen.
Set the hooks!
Okay. And we'll be wider than him as well, so we'll get this big Tusk Raider down next turn. Would we rather play a hook? I don't think so.
Take a stance and
Fine with trading this with anything.
We go.
Yes.
Face your fate.
Yes. Okay.
Bar the doors!
Ooh, got some fight in ya.
Lethal? Pretty close. Pretty close. Looks like a pretty good board for us.
Son of a...
We'll come for you! Will no one
Right,
listen?
we're not going to run into the Ruination Rosso Harrowing guy, and so I think we're good to just go ahead and drop the Tusk Raider, make all our draws huge.
Ancient things
Sure.
trapped in the ice.
Yeah, huge snapper.
The storm approaches.
If he just passes back, this is okay. Like, I don't think he ever attacks here. But maybe we should just go ahead and start playing units. Okay.
You're under our protection.
Let's do one of
I've been
these.
waiting for this. It is time.
Okay, so you can harsh winds out of this again, but I was going to say this. If this isn't lethal, it's snowballing so hard. It's probably close enough. Okay, what's the best here? A riposte? All right. I'll aboard this, trading out a expensive for a riposte. Yon's already done his work. The way Yon typically goes is he puts in work for 2 or 3 games and then we trade him out of our deck. Nonetheless. All right. Up to 2 wins. We took our left pack draft at 7, so I mean. Oh man. It's tough. I mean, I'm sure that's a hard thing to get down. Hearthstone, it was a lot more objective, right? Whenever you start adding in more variables, it gets a lot harder to do. In Hearthstone, it's like, well, you know, once you've got your curve to a point and your removal to a point, it's kind of a lot easier to pick and choose what fills in your deck. But when you're picking 2 and 3 cards at a time, I could see where that would be tough to pull off. Okay, not a bad start. we'll stick to this Fiora plan. This is close enough to being able to do it. We have at least got our riposte count up pretty good. The rest of the tricks are kind of shaky.
Save your world.
But we're just kind of like one trick away from being able to OTK with Fiora. Awkward. I mean, this guy seems so good here, but like I think he's going to be good on the defense. We're not the aggro here. He's just going to get in for 4 damage.
Let them
I think we want to
eat
take this over well. We have good blockers to put in front of this big dude. We don't really care about toughness here. Sure.
Move out!
Alright, not an ultra scary open.
I'll stop you.
How do we want to do this? We're gonna. I think we need to take this guy down now,
Precision
and we can try to
and grace.
combat this on
Strike
our
without
attack.
worry.
We're just gonna lose our Fiora, but that's okay. Sure. It's pretty savage. Not a bad transfusion. But we can just clear out his board here now. This is what we're looking to do. We just need to not die. He's never going to outvalue us. Like, our cards are too expensive and our units are too big. As long as we aren't just taking a bunch of damage here, then we should be okay. So we want to do this. Now this gets awkward. I don't think we can attack again, because this is going to stun Fiora, and then we need a blocker for this thing. Right, if he just opens on us, we can't take a non-hit if he opens on us, or if we had killed this thing, we can't take the 6 hit from this open. It would have been a perfect draw last turn. But as long as we just don't get ravaged by damage here, I think we're in a pretty good spot.
We protect these woods as they protect us.
Magic has no place here.
Okay. Good.
I am one with the land.
Okay, okay.
Scared stiff.
And, like, what are the chances he ever plays, like, a 6-cost spell? I mean, I guess he does have a chance. We're saying there's a chance. How do we want to do this? I think we still want to just be challenging down all this stuff. Like, challenging these 3 is fine. We're going to have blockers for this Reckoner. My worry with the Reckoner is a Might. But if he has Might, I kind of feel like he would have already done it. So what do we have? We have 2 challenges?
I long for a worthy opponent.
The power of our order.
Oh boy. Oh boy, that's a problem.
I will cut you down. Try me.
No, that's not right.
Swiftly, silently.
Protect House LoR.
Okay.
Stop there.
Not ideal. Not ideal running into Captain Fair in here. We're just going to be too slow to beat this, but
You should stay back, cowards.
we might be able to get. Ooh, I was gonna say we might be able to get wide enough to get a big attack in.
Only the finest.
He's not
serve.
decimating us. Okay. So how do we do this? I think we just play our biggest unit.
In formation! Side by side, into battle!
We can just block all this stuff. I think we're good to just go ahead and play the Bjerg.
Tall as a mountain and covered in ice!
A bright steel.
Finish him!
Cavalry, to the field!
My life for these lands.
Can we take the least damage like this? Do we even care about taking the least damage? As long as we're not going to be at 11 next turn. Like the double decimate range is going to hit us. And so what's going to happen is we're going to have to play our unit and then attack. And so I think if we do this, we'll take 6.
with you, stranger!
He's going to get a stun on Bjerg. And he has to block some stuff, but okay.
Good dog.
My grove.
I'm getting warmed up.
It's just too little too late. We could have, if this was like just any big unit, if this was Savage Reckoner or something, we could have taken it over, but we just can't beat these decimates. Well, maybe if he's just going to fuck around the rest of the game, we could beat them.
Right out!
He's emoting too early. Like what I would give to have a barrier lifesteal to just annihilate this. Oh, it would feel so good. Sure. I would give anything for a barrier lifesteal.
A noble end!
Alright.
Nothing escapes my watch. I thought you'd run.
But I mean, this is one of these games. He gave us like 3 or 4 extra turns, and so you know it's kind of what really like separates it between like if you're one of the ladder players and pushing into trying to push into masters, or if you're just running the expeditions like we do. You can sit there and see it where it's like he just clearly gave us an extra 3 turns. And you just can't do that. That's what will separate a lot of these. Is just it's not really even like a here, we'll take them single combat. That's fine. It's not like a herder. I'm in Twitch chat and you missed lethal. Like it's just one of these things. We even do it ourselves to where we end up kind of giving our opponents more time for no reason. It's just something you really have to cut out of your game. If just closing out the game as exactly quickly as you can. Weird set of champions. But sure. Alright, we need cheaper stuff here. Not a bad start. Mine is starting with Bright Steel. The best start this deck could ask for.
Fratricide, protect me.
Karen Elise with this thing. Okay.
I pull the strings.
No, it's just not
Nothing
not a
escapes
starter
my
deck is
notice.
capable of handling. We'll just take. I think we just want to take the ones from these. There's no way he's an Elise deck. This is just a value unit. We can do that. We might have to get an attack in with this. So probably block with one of these.
Making the dead.
And then we can single
dead.
combat down this Elise. It's like we know he's not building around us, but we just can't really deal with this board if we don't. I mean, maybe we can just ignore it, block a spider. I guess I can get behind not single combating. Seems a little spewy. Sure.
We must all make sacrifices.
Alright, well, we'll attack. Maybe we shouldn't attack. Like, does he ever have crawling sensation here? Like, that's the card that we're scared of. He shouldn't be doing at least things. Right, the problem being is if we attack, he blocks and crawling sensations, or I guess the block would be over here.
My gun does the
I guess we can
talking.
be okay with that.
You'll go no farther.
I just don't suspect it's a real card very often. Okay. Sure. Nothing we can do.
You won't suffer long.
We have to deal with this now. We can't just let her flip. It comes down to if we want. I think this is fine though. Like,
Stay back.
we have to spew out our whole hand. But it at least takes his units that matter off of the board, and then we just need to be not dying here. We've got all the expensive cards. If we can survive this aggression, we should be okay. We can start chipping away at this shit with Usari. Maybe we get Usari down in a trade next turn. I think this is the way to go about it.
For justice.
Sure.
For Demacia.
Okay. We're not out of it yet, boys. It's unfortunate we got to kind of spend riposte into this board.
Demacian needs heroes.
Queen. Okay.
You're covered. Just like hunting thresher geese.
Just like hunting pressure geese. The fuck? The fuck's a pressure geese, Quinn? And then she's not what actually matters here. Garen's what matters. So we'll take this hit. And then we're going to try to riposte Garen down on his normal attack. And then if this turn just ends up being something where we bank 3 spell mana while we hold riposte barrier, I think I'm pretty okay with that. But I think that this turn, a lot of the time, he attacks with these 3. Oh shit, not a removal spell. Okay.
It's our time to shine, Valor. Still heart,
Here we
steady
can still
aim.
deal with this Garen. Okay.
Shield up.
What's the over under on us drawing a 7 drop next turn? Hey, at least we could play a 7. We'll draw Tryndamere. That's what makes more sense. This was, all jokes aside, probably the best card we could draw here. It is a pretty safe pass for him, but I would love to see him just play like 6 mana of a card we don't care about. It's going to recall it, isn't it? Okay. Now you can just open kill us. That's unfortunate. I don't know if we can draw out of that. I mean, there's a non-zero chance he doesn't try to open kill us, but there's also no way we can get around it. There we go. That's what I figured we needed.
Scouting ahead.
Yep. Oh. Okay.
No closer.
Probably still just dead, but but the options are here. Could have Withering Whale or something and just take all these down. No, we just have to hope his hand is see, stuff like Redoubled Valor. We can survive that. Just do nothing? Ah, damn. If his play was like Prismatic Barrier or something, then we had a chance to kind of come back with this stuff.
No alibi.
Justice takes flight.
Alright, where's the concede button?
Valor, to me.
Wah, wah. So, I mean, I'm just saying, we left pack drafted and got to 7. We're at 0 and 2 wins with this. But I mean, this could have also been a real deck. Let me see. Like I was kind of happy with that with the Fiora into Tryndamere. That's pretty reasonable. There's not a whole lot in Tryndamere that we're actually looking for, but starting with Omenhawk and Tryndamere, and then just looking for Brittle Steels and I feel like there was one other one that plays pretty reasonably in there. I can't remember. I'd have to pull up the card list. But you know, it's not the end of the world. The Frostbites do play with Fiora, and then we were actually kind of building towards this kind of interesting Fiora caretaker deck. We could have picked up a lot more barriers. Could have picked up a lot more caretakers. I think that would have played out pretty interestingly. The choices didn't align that way, but I was kind of interested to see how that panned out, because we typically shy away from just taking these kind of Ionia cards with our third pick. Is that where that happened? Yeah, I mean, like I would 100% never start Fiora Tryndamere and then pick up Yon Scaled Snapper, but I was pretty interested in how these things panned out with the these three pulls together. Probably also wouldn't have taken Shen. Why does this have Fiora here? Did I mess that up? I thought we took a Shen at some point. We did. What is this? Why does it say Fiora? We had a Shen. It says Fiora. Anyways, I would have never taken this Shen when we were, kind of getting towards being this Fiora build-around deck. But nonetheless, it was an interesting experiment. Like I said at the beginning, this is something that I'll do again once we get closer to the end of the Rising Tides. We're getting towards the end of July here. I haven't heard anything about the next set being released. I thought it was going to come out the first week of August, right with how the patches kind of go. Where are we at? Like the last patch, I guess that was the last big balance patch of the Rising Tides that came out on July 21st. So I would assume August 4th is the next patch, and that would be a little one or nothing, and then the new set comes out on the 18th. I don't know how that works. But once we kind of get to that preview week, I'll focus a little bit more on left pack drafting and LoR Guardian drafting and whatever kind of cutesy little challenges we come up with, because the new patch did just come out, and so there were some good changes. I was glad we got to draft Scrap Heap right after the new patch came out, and so I would prefer to stick to the more learning the patch focused things as opposed to the ones for more funsies. But this was fun. I did enjoy this. It's kind of interesting to see how these things pan out, even though they ultimately weren't super successful. But that's going to do it here today. Hope you guys enjoyed the run and learned something along the way. This is Free to Play Bust, and thank you for being here.